Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Big 12 Mafia Show. Please do not adjust your computer monitors. I am not Nate Bomber Brown. Nate is under the weather tonight. He asked me to fill in and kind of pick up the slack here. I will be as impartial as I can be tonight. I've got a Big 12 hat on for the Jayhawks,
Looks good.
who I called last week would beat BYU. One of the few games I actually successfully picked this week. So, how are you guys doing tonight? Let's start with you. How you feeling?
I'm feeling amazing. Amazing. You know why? It's because the Big 12 has overtook the ACC, and we're going to get into it. That's the namesake of this episode. Big news, y'all. We're going to get right into this, but I am so excited to blast out and tell the ACC folks they're so screwed right now. They are so screwed. Big 12 forever.
Wow. I'm going to laugh if SMU is going to be the champion of the ACC. It with all that talent that they talked about in the offseason for Clemson, for Miami, for UNC. And that's going to be your champion? Oh, yeah, it's going to be funny.
Yeah, it's Utes ready to do some grave dancing. We won't get there yet because we're going to take it onto a down note. The college football playoff was released. The bracket was released about an hour ago, and it was not good for the Big 12, as Daniel alluded to. I'm going to pull that up here, guys, and get your thoughts. The only Big 12 team here is one-loss BYU, who just lost this past week to Kansas at home, and they are in the 12 slot.
What's interesting is Boise State has only one ranked win. That was to Washington State. I want to say second or third week of the year. Rest of that schedule, soft, really, really soft. And then you look at BYU. BYU's actually beat ranked teams. Yes, they did not play well against Kansas, but they should be ranked at least higher than SMU. SMU is ranked 13th.
Not concerned about this at all. Not concerned at all. Colorado, if Colorado wins out or Arizona State wins out, even if BYU wins out, then they're going to jump and beat the 4 seed. So this is just a blip. At the end of the day, the Big 12 is going to get one playoff team in. Said it all year long, said before the season start. It's going to be that way until this conference strengthens, but really the foundations of the strengthening are happening. So while the results aren't great this year because the parity of the Big 12 completely blows and sucks, and I don't want to hear that argument anymore. That's good for the Big 12. It's absolutely crap. And here's evidence of it. Like, seriously. And so when we're moving forward and stuff with this new exposure, it's going to be a game changer for the Big 12. But this year, it's not looking great right now. Obviously, looking at this, but at the end of the day, Big 12's gonna get 4 seed.
This is what I think that was interesting. Alabama, they played Mercer. They got bumped above Miami in this past week's rankings. Miami was off this past weekend. What world is Alabama? Well, just because they have the A on their uniform. That's the only reason why they're getting so many votes.
To be fair, Alabama, Jalen Milroe is a dynamic player. They do have some quality wins. They got some ugly losses.
Yes.
But that one doesn't surprise me much because you're right, Daniel. It's Alabama.
That's it.
The only outliers here that you're seeing in the new 12-team playoff, BYU, Boise State, Miami, and Ole Miss, I would say, is an outlier too. Everybody else, we talked about this expanded playoff, how we were going to get more teams in. It's the same. It's the usual suspects here, guys. Alabama, Notre Dame, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, Texas.
And bringing up Notre Dame, they play Army this weekend, and Army's undefeated. There could be the biggest doomsday scenario for the Big 12. Say BYU loses against Arizona State. You got a 2-loss BYU. They go in to the Big 12 championship, say Colorado. If you've got 2-loss Colorado, they're going to be in the playoffs just due to the fact that they're not going to say no to Prime.
Sure.
But let's say that it's BYU. There could be a scenario where Boise State and Army are both in the playoffs over BYU. Just good scenario that it would happen. Just way the world works.
So you're saying that Army jumps BYU if BYU wins the Big 12?
Yes.
They have to lose this weekend, though, right?
And
so
that game is
2 losses.
That game is at Yankee Stadium.
At the end of the day, I just don't see it happening. I know that's the doomsday scenario.
True.
I just really have a hard time seeing it happen. I have a hard time seeing the Big 12 get anything but the 4 seed. At the end of the day, pretty confident no matter how it shakes out, they're going to realize, hey, this is an A4 level conference. The champion should be in the playoffs and a top 4 seed. So I can see the champion, whoever it is going to jump whoever's in front of them in the last playoff bowl. They're going to get their minds right. They're going to make the right decision. It's going to be the 4 seed.
Hopefully.
I'm going to take the opposite view on that. I think if Boise State continues to run the field, has 1 loss, and it's to number 1 Oregon. And honestly, if Boise State had any special teams, they'd have won that game against Oregon. I think the committee's looking. I think just by this bracket, the committee is showing you that quality losses are more important than quality wins. Because look at BYU; they've got 1 loss to Kansas at home on a kind of freaky special teams play. Now, granted, the previous week before, they got some calls that went their way, an insane catch that wasn't even targeted to the guy who caught it in order to upend Utah. But listen, they've got a win over SMU. If SMU is playing in the ACC championship game, if SMU is the ultimate ACC champion, how can you not take into account a quality win against SMU, and that was at SMU?
Correct.
It's hard to understand. That doesn't make much sense, does it?
No.
At the end of the day, BYU should go ahead.
I was going to sit there and say the last 2 that Boise has, which is at Wyoming and Oregon State.
Yeah, I mean, their biggest win is, you're probably right, it's Washington State. But Washington State also lost this weekend, so that takes a little bit of the shine off that Washington State win.
Correct.
But I will go ahead and pull that down, and we'll get to the full rankings here as soon as I can.
Let's take a look at this. Yeah. Let's take a look at the top 25.
Here. Present. Share screen. Make sure I got the right one. Here we go. Here, got that nice and big for everybody. So here's the rankings, how they actually fell out. Oregon and Ohio State are 1 and 2. Obviously, Ohio State's 1 loss was to Oregon by 1 point at Oregon. So, I'm not being a homer there. I think Ohio State deserves to be number 2. Texas is number 3. This is one that gets me. Everybody complains that Indiana doesn't have any quality wins. Who is Texas beat?
No one.
Yeah, who's Texas beat? By the way, Georgia went in there and dominated them. Mm-hmm. Georgia, who has struggled mightily this season. So I hear all these SEC homers telling me how they deserve to have most teams in and complaining about Indiana, but when your top SEC team doesn't have a quality win, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know how you can sit there and defame Indiana.
Does Texas have a top 25 win now?
I don't believe so.
I can't.
They're playing A&M here very soon, so they will, or they'll be booted. So we'll know more about them soon. It's that preseason ranking, though, guys. The preseason ranking.
That's the other thing. The people I've heard from the SEC said it doesn't matter because Texas was in the playoff last year, and that should count for something this year. And Becky Go Huskies brought up a great point. Indiana beat last year's national champion and last year's runner-up. So why does the playoff that Texas was in the playoff last year and Indiana beat two playoff teams in the season, two of last year's playoff teams in the season? Why does Texas's get weighted more valuably than Indiana's does? And the answer is because it's the SEC.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like it's the Texas brand, it's the Texas recruiting, it's the preseason expectations, it's the playoff appearance. And like if Texas is playing Indiana on a neutral side, they're going to be favored by 7.5 to 10 points. We all know that. So, I mean, I would bet that Texas is a much better team than Indiana, too. And the betting lines would show that out. So I think that's fair. I mean, Indiana, that's been a great story and everything. We'll see how it goes this weekend versus Buck.
I don't disagree with you. I think Texas is a better team. But if you're going to use insane logic, like, well, if you go back to last season, Texas was in the playoffs last season. And this season, Indiana beat two playoff teams from last season. It doesn't hold water. The only thing that should matter is what has happened this season.
And Indiana's a 12.5-point dog going into the horseshoe.
And that's actually dropping. They were 13.5 yesterday. So.
Okay.
So Texas did beat Michigan as well, right?
They did.
So they both beat Michigan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if that's the argument, then, I mean, Michigan isn't good this year.
Well, Indiana
Texas
has a win
beat
over
OU,
Washington.
Red River, beat Vanderbilt, beat Florida, Arkansas, and they've got Texas A&M. Yeah, I mean, it's not been the strongest schedule for sure.
Yeah,
but the thing is, these schedules are wrote years in advance. So it's not like that all of a sudden you can change your schedule in the middle of the season.
Right. You can only play who's put in front of you. Penn State's at number 4. I know a lot of people are complaining about that as well. Penn State does not really have a quality win. Indiana at 5. We talked about them. Notre Dame Fighting Irish coming in at number 6, guys. Probably the worst loss of any team out there. They lost to Northern Illinois at home, and Northern Illinois has went into the MAC and is not even competing for the MAC title.
They are awful. I wonder what are they 5-5? I believe something like that.
They may be. I think they might actually be 4-6.
Hold on. Let me pull that up. I just had that up a second ago.
That's a mulligan right there. That is a mulligan mode.
That's a quality loss for Notre Dame, I guess, losing to a MAC team at home that you were favored by 20.5 points.
6-4.
So how many of these teams have a quality win? Like, okay, so Oregon beat Ohio State. There's one
Oregon's
quality
got a quality win.
Who was Ohio State beat? Penn State, right?
Ohio State's got a
They beat Penn State at home.
Yeah.
Texas none, Penn State none, Indiana none, Notre Dame beat A&M. That's a quality win.
Yeah, that's a quality one.
Bama, Georgia, right? They had some big wins.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Alabama, yeah. Miami's another one. They really haven't played anybody. I mean, their rivalry game was Florida and Florida State, and although Florida has come back a little bit at the end of the season, both their rivals I think we can agree are down this year, to say the very least. Ole Miss at number 9. Ole Miss has got some quality wins, but they got a bad loss in there too. Georgia's got some quality wins, but their offense has been inconsistent to say the least. Carson Beck looks like a Heisman winner one week, and the next week he looks like junior varsity quarterback. He just throws picks willy-nilly. And then number 11, the Tennessee Volunteers, they slipped because Georgia beat them this week. And then as we discussed, number 12 in the rankings, but they would be the number 4 seed, the Boise State Broncos. Then 13 is SMU. And then
makes
14
no sense.
is BYU. And by the way, BYU beat SMU at home.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Like how does that make any sense at all?
Nothing does.
That's
the only thing I
that
can
game
think
happened?
This is recency bias. I think they're looking at the last 2 games. They're looking at the Holy War. They're looking at the loss to Kansas and saying BYU's offense was anemic in those performances. They needed a lot of stuff to go right to win the Holy War. So that's the only thing I can think of. It's recency bias. They're not looking at BYU's season. They're looking at the last 2 games and making a decision based on that.
Correct.
I agree.
And then you got
Because
Texas A&M. Yeah,
Everybody remembers last week's loss, but they don't remember week 1's loss whenever it comes down to rankings.
well, that's true. You look at Notre Dame, lost to NIU. BYU lost to Kansas. Again, a kind of a crazy special teams play that, led to the loss. But Kansas is a Power 4 team, guys. I mean, a lot of us picked Kansas to win the Big 12 this year. Yeah. So, again,
BYU, escaped Oklahoma State and Utah. It's probably just caught up to them. At the end of the day, looking at the resume, how many close games you escape by, I don't know, but still, I can't think the logic on how SMU is one spot ahead of them. It makes no sense.
Yeah,
they should be 13, 100%.
Yeah, you've both got one loss, but one of your losses to the other one. Doesn't. You can't make sense out of the senseless people. I don't get it. Texas A&M at 15. Again, I think that's put up there a little bit to boost Texas. Colorado goes to number 16, which I think is very good for the Big 12.
Absolutely.
Get another team in there. They also have a shot at a Big 12 title. They are still not mathematically eliminated. Clemson at 17. They are pretty much mathematically eliminated.
And
South Carolina
escaped.
Gamecocks at 18. I'm sure that there will be people screaming that South Carolina is at 18. Army Black Knights at number 19, which does no favors for Notre Dame. If Army, I don't believe Army can beat Notre Dame. It's talent levels I think are too big, but assuming, let's just say for the sake of argument, Army beats Notre Dame.
Yes.
That's a quality win over a top 16.
Let's talk about the ramifications of that happening. So if Army beats Notre Dame, then Army is going to move up likely in the top 12, and that would eliminate Notre Dame completely from playoff contention. Can we agree on that at least?
Hopefully.
Notre Dame would be eliminated.
Hopefully.
Boy,
You don't think Notre Dame would get eliminated?
I'm telling you, if
a 2-loss Notre Dame with the people that picked this will most likely it really shakes out, but Notre Dame would be in with 2 losses.
I think they do get in with 2 losses. I think that's the power of Notre Dame's brand.
There's no chance if you lose to Army and NIU that you get in the playoff over a A4 conference champion and like in a doomsday scenario. That is nuts. Like that talk is even nuts right there. Notre Dame is sitting at number 6 right now. If they lose to number 19, it's Army. Like they're out. I'm 100% confident they're gone. They're out.
I think Army they would bounce. I think they would bounce an SEC team out to put. They would bounce Tennessee out to put Notre Dame in. I fully believe that.
I 100% agree with you, Moen. They will bounce somebody out. Maybe a Penn State. Let's say, but Notre Dame is going to be in the playoffs with 2 losses.
What happens in this scenario, guys? Let's talk about this. Okay, Colorado wins out, BYU wins out, and Iowa State wins out.
Well,
and 2 of those 3 are going to make the Big 12 championship game, and one will have 2 losses. And not playing the Big 12 championship game, wouldn't they have an avenue possibly getting the 12, 11 seed?
No, because they're the Big 12. It's the Big 12 conference that would be penalized. Iowa State would be penalized in that scenario for being a Big 12 team. Also, their losses are not very good losses. Kansas really steamrolled them. They almost lost the week before to UCF, and UCF has not been good this year. I think Iowa State easily gets left out in that scenario. I think whoever the winner of BYU Colorado, that is who is going to be representing the Big 12 in the college football playoff.
If it's Colorado, they're easily in because they're going to want to have Coach Prime in front of cameras.
Oh yeah, and with the bye week, so they can pump that up for multiple weeks, right? 100%. Just imagine if you get like Ohio State versus Colorado in the playoff. What ratings that would do. Mo's even laughing up there.
I would love it. I would love it.
That would be 20 million.
Could be.
Yeah. I would love it because here's my problem with Colorado. They got absolutely decimated by a bad Nebraska team. A Nebraska team that's still struggling to get bowl eligible absolutely blew this Colorado team away. So I have a hard time with that. Yeah. Yeah. I have a hard
Week
time.
2 games don't matter much. Look at Notre Dame's loss to Northern Illinois. So that's week 2. Colorado's playing a lot better. Their trench plays way better. So they're playing physical football. They're a different football team. So I think that's going to be a different story.
I don't disagree with you. NIU is a worse loss, obviously. But Nebraska really, really handled Colorado. Colorado couldn't get anything done against Nebraska.
It was bad.
Notre Dame, it was a close loss. I think it was the last-second field goal that ended up winning it for NIU. So, but we'll see. I mean, we've got to let this play out. I do think it'll be Colorado and BYU, possibly ASU. Arizona State still has a shot as well. We can't count out the Sun Devils. I think if they brought back Sparky, they would automatically be in because Sparky's a great mascot, and that pitchfork logo is stupid.
What's amazing, though, looking just at the top 25 here, how many ACC schools are in the top 25?
2. 3 with
SMU, 2. 3.
Yeah, SMU.
How many Big 12 teams?
2.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, yeah,
4.
Right. 4. Okay.
4 over 3. Okay.
Yeah.
So don't want to hear all this ACC domination nonsense. We're about to get into this here.
Absolutely.
Don't want to hear it.
Absolutely. So that's and then rounding it out, I don't want to leave anybody out. Iowa State 22, Mizzou 23, UNLV 24. The Fighting Illini of Illinois, number 25.
Go Birds.
Let's see how many Big Ten teams there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 Big Ten teams made it in there. So congratulations to the Big Ten teams that made it in there. Congratulations to the Big 12 teams that are in there. You're right. All 4 of those guys still have things have to fall certain ways for Arizona State and Iowa State, but everybody is still in contention for the Big 12 title.
You win out, then you're in. Iowa State might have to have some stuff go their way, but Arizona State controls their own destiny.
Right.
Colorado does too, and so does BYU.
Yeah. So everybody's still in play. Very exciting finish coming the last 2 weeks of the season for the Big 12. All right, before we get going, I want to say hi to some people. I know we usually do that at the beginning of the show. I'll remind everybody how this works. We always defer to member comments. If you're a member, we tend to select your comments more frequently. If you're interested in becoming a member or leaving us a super chat, you can go down and click the little cash icon by the chat window. Helps us keep the lights on here. We're starting a new thing on both the Big Ten Mafia and Mowing After Dark, where I take the number of SEC teams that are in. I take that many shots on Sunday. The number of Big Ten teams are in. Take that many shots on Monday. We're going to see if I can make it through. And those are 50 caliber shell shots. Those are doubles, guys. So we're going to see how bad it gets for me.
There we go. There we go.
Rooting
That's
hard
Big
for
Ten
the
man right there.
Rooting hard for the Big Ten. So first off in the chat was myself. Just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you.
Thank you.
Stormy Cyclone. Hello, guys. BYU just got overtaken by Boise. Strength of schedule must not matter. It didn't this week.
Just win, baby. Just beat Arizona State. You'll jump ahead of Boise State. BYU. You'll be fine if you win.
Town Hawk says, well, hey there and rock chalk, everybody. Well, I'm rocking the chalk, so there you go. That was the last sound you heard on Friday, and Nate hasn't come back on live since. So
Nate was at the game. He was there late. Man, yeah, so
I didn't watch the game. I'll be honest with you. It's like I'm not staying up to 2 a.m. to watch BYU's offense play. Town Hawk again. Big 12 on TNT is dynamite. That was my Jimmy Walker impression. Antoine Code says, "Hello, everyone. Go Devils."
Go Devils.
Yeah,
Congrats
Antoine
on the
Codes.
season, Antoine Codes. My
Bob
goodness.
Swanger, good evening, everyone. Good to see you, Bob. Scavin, yes. Moen, you might be worried if OSU loses to Indiana. As long as they beat Michigan, I'm a happy man. Because we're getting in the playoffs either way, even if we have 2 losses. We're a bigger brand.
What if you
Bill-
lose to Michigan and Indiana?
Then Ryan Day needs to be fired. Billy Tuesday, Leslie Nielsen, he got the quote.
Yep.
Shonsky's in the house. How's everyone? I hope you're having a great day. You know what? I have not had a great day, but I'm having a better day now. So we'll take what we can get. Our web says Daniel Gygax, sick 'em, my friend.
Retired military officer right there, USAF.
All right. I take it he's a Baylor fan?
He is.
Okay. Does West Virginia play Baylor this week?
They played him last week,
Okay.
and it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, I heard
pretty
Dave
at all.
Aranda is sticking around, so I kind of figured out what the record was there. Illini Ted's in the house. He says, "Hello, guys. The SEC has laid the groundwork in national media to belittle all the other conferences. Some things will never change."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, it just means more. Except last year's title game was between 2 Big Ten teams, and the 2 SEC teams lost. So
It was a Pac-12 team, Moen, not a Big Ten team.
it was a Big Ten team. They'd already signed the paperwork.
Yep.
It was just a formality.
But then again, it was 2 SEC teams that were also in the semifinals.
Correct. You're absolutely right. BYU traveling to the shoe would be wild. I'd be nervous for BYU fans. I'm the first one to admit it. We've got some of the worst asshole fans in the country.
BYU was at WVU last year, and BYU guys, they said that they were treated really nice, which is weird because our guys are drunk.
That's West Virginia though. Ohio State, they are some of the worst fans, and I'll
Utes
tell you,
fans treat them nice too. We treat them real nice.
I would treat them nice, but there's other fans, that I don't think they would treat them so nice. But I'd love to see it. Maybe I could get Nate to fly out to watch BYU lose to the Buckeyes by 25. Scavin, yes, says, "Hello, gentlemen. GBR, that is Go Big Red, a.k.a. Nebraska, who laid a whooping on Colorado."
Come on, get over it. Come on. Come on, man.
But let me say this. Colorado's going bowling. Nebraska.
Colorado's about to have some havoc in playoff.
Yeah, Nebraska. Come on. Arming winning out would jump the Big 12 and Boise, but probably not happening. I tend to agree with you. I forget what the spread was. I think it's 14.5 Notre Dame. It's on our picks for this week. So
hold on. It is 14.5.
14.5, yeah. Big 12 over ACC, LOL. Please let me hear your logic. This will be funny. We will get there, Echo Chamber. You just got to stay tuned. I just want to get through and say hello to some people. Let me see. Stephen Vitt is in the house. You can't apply what a team did last season to whatever happens this season. Stay in the here and now. I 100% agree with you. I think it's a ridiculous argument. Let me see. Is there anybody else? Conundrum's in the house. Earl Carr is in the house. Hey, brothers, Mo and Daniel Wild. Sorry about the loss, Earl. But if things shake out the way that playoff committee has it bracketed now, more than welcome. I'll meet you in Columbus, and I'll treat you good. So after Saturday, BYU does not deserve to be ranked. Little harsh.
They deserve to be ranked.
They deserve to be
over SMU for sure.
Yeah, definitely over SMU. I mean, that's not even a question. The combined records of Michigan, Washington last year was 29-1. This year, the combined records are 11-10. Texas is 21-3 over the last 2 years. Still pretty soft to me, and I am an SEC guy. To be fair, that 11-10 record has been played in the Big Ten. Part of that Texas record was played in the Big 12 when a lot of teams were having down years. So Not apples to apples, oranges to oranges, but
I'm picking Texas to win the national championship, y'all. I know that there's some baggage right now going on. Texas is going to win the whole title. You watch. I'll take them right now. The Longhorns win the Natty.
okay. Go ahead and Venmo that money over to me, and I'll put that.
More money lost.
Indiana frequently plays Ohio State tough. You're absolutely right. I was in the hospital with pancreatitis one year, and I had a blood pressure monitor on during that game. I think it was the first game of the season, and they kept walking in and going, "Well, your blood pressure's getting really high," and I'm like, "Well, no shit. Look at this score. That's Indiana." Syracuse should be in over UNLV. Cuse beat UNLV at UNLV. Kyle McCord, something. And then OPD down again. It amazes me that 3 out of the 4 teams having a shot of the Big 12 are former Pac teams.
Mm-hmm.
Only Iowa State from the Hateful Eight is in contention. That is wild. Actually, BYU is not a Pac team. They were
Never
independent.
was. No.
Yeah, they were independent. So 2 out of the 4, ASU and Colorado. You would be correct in that regard. Oh, we got a Cougar in here. He says, "What another joke of playoff committee. Cougars beat SMU, and they're behind SMU." Yeah, we kind of gave our take on that a little earlier.
No idea.
Earl Carr with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Earl. It is much appreciated. Mo and BYU will not be making the playoffs, so as a BYU fan, I have nothing to worry about. Well, listen, you can't – I understand it was a tough loss. We'll talk a little bit about it, and I understand you're disappointed in your offensive play calling because I'm not even a fan and I'm disappointed in that offensive play calling. But got to keep the faith. All right, guys, let's go ahead and hit this TNT Big 12 Warner Brothers Discovery inside the NBA. All this stuff. You want to do the article or do you want to do your thing?
Let's pull up the article. Let's pull up the article.
All right.
So the Big 12 is not only overtaken the ACC in the poll, the most recent CFP poll with 4 teams instead of 3, but for the future. And I'm serious about this, y'all. This is massive news. We all in these communities probably are aware of what happened with the news dump here over the last couple of days. But this new partnership between TNT and the Big 12 is absolutely massive for the Big 12 Conference. And the reason that is massive for the Big 12 Conference is the start of a relationship with TNT and Turner to be the primary, one day, probably the primary arm for the Big 12. Big 12 does not have its own network. It gets shafted on ESPN behind the SEC. Fox takes Big 10 teams and they put Big 12 teams way behind them. They promote Big 10 and SEC all the time, and the Big 12 is lacking as far as promotion, future promotion. So the Big 12 needed something else. They needed another partner to come in, pick up games, and really be its own voice, the voice of the Big 12, because there's currently nothing out there that's the voice of the Big 12. That's why this TNT thing makes a lot of sense. That's why it's fantastic. It's picking up games that were previously on ESPN Plus, so games that nobody was watching anyway, unless you have an ESPN Plus subscription. So really, these are games that were non-Nielsen rated that are now going to be Nielsen rated games on TNT. And again, there's going to be a pregame show likely. There's going to be an actual channel, a network that's supporting the Big 12 Conference, that's advocating for the Big 12 Conference. It's not going to be a second thought on ESPN or Fox anymore, because I'm so sick of that. All the Big 10 and the SEC coverage. The Big 12 needed this to become the third arm, really the third A3 conference over the ACC. And this is totally screwball for the ACC too. This screws the ACC so dang bad because there's nowhere the ACC can go. They're stuck with this ESPN deal. They've got a little bit of a Raycom here, and maybe a little bit of a CW here, but their exposure is a problem right now. The Big 12 exposure is going to be fantastic going forward. It's already better than the ACC's. So you're going to see a lot more Big 12 games all over the place. We all know about the turmoil with the ACC going on anyway. So the Big 12 is actually investing, making the moves it needs to make over the next 5 to 6 years to surpass the ACC clearly in the exposure realm, recruiting and everything else. So I think that TNT is going to become the primary partner, Turner Sports, with the Big 12 down the line.
I'm going to counterpoint a little bit. TNT's got a few Mountain West games, and those ratings are not good. They also, let's look at the ACC on CW. And CW's got a way wider audience than what TNT does, because a lot of people are cord cutting. A lot of people are going off cable. So CW, I can pick up with an antenna. I can pick it up right now. TNT, where people are cord cutting, guess what? That is going to lower it down some. And there's no extra money. It's just exposure. And you hear exposure, this. Yes, it's nice, but if there was a little bit more cash kicked into it, I'd like to see that. But it is better than nothing. At least it gets a couple of those games off of ESPN Plus. It does put them on a site that you can watch it without having to log in to the internet.
No doubt about it. 26 games this last football season have been on ESPN Plus for the Big 12. Conference games and pre-conference games, 2 out of conference games. And 13 of those, half of them approximately, are going to TNT. That's a huge win for your partners. Like, for exposure-wise, I don't even have ESPN Plus. I'm a Big 12 fan. Like, I won't even watch that garbage and everything. So now that it's on TNT, it's actually going to be feature content. They're going to have a pregame studio show and everything. So it really is what the doctor ordered. It's basically going to become the Big 12 ESPN for the SEC in the future and everything. This is like a long-term partnership. It's the beginning of it. And these sub-license games, the first part of it.
Well, CW does have a pregame somewhat, and they do have Washington State, Oregon State, that part of the contract too. But what are those numbers? What are those ratings? And CW's in every market in America. TNT with cord cutting. I mean, here's the thing. The Big 12 has to do something. They have to be proactive, and I do think that this will help. How much it will help, I don't know. But it will help get some of those games visible.
Does this help or hurt the ACC, Daniel?
The biggest thing that's going to hurt the ACC is the fact that you've heard absolutely nothing on their Disney deal. Not a single leak. And what's going to hurt the ACC is the fact that they're still in court. And there's been no restitution in that. So to sit there and say it's neutral right now, but let's find out what happens in Leon and Pickens County.
Look, as a Pac-12 fan, like, the exposure sucked so bad in the Pac-12. So many Utah games got stuck on Pac-12 network. So it seemed like every other game was non-Nielsen rated on a channel nobody ever saw. Big 12 is a complete game changer. Utah's basically on big-time television almost every week now. Despite a losing record, they're going to be on Fox this next weekend. I cannot freaking believe it. The exposure is fantastic in the Big 12. There's more eyeballs in Big 12 country watching games. And again, this is even more exposure. And really what exposure is, it's an investment for the future. It's an investment for brand building today. So in the next media contract, more people have noticed your games, have watched your games, and you're going to get a bigger media deal down the line. It's an investment. You're not getting paid today off the TNT slice, but in the future you can.
I'm 20 miles from
really
Berkeley's
future.
I'm 20 miles from Berkeley's campus. I didn't get Pac-12 network on DirecTV. Was not available. Never could watch them play. Couldn't watch Stanford. That's about a 50-mile drive from here. And guess what? People forgot about them, and that's the reason why their contract went, or that's the reason their conference went away. Nobody could watch them. Nobody cared.
So, Moan, I know we skipped over. Let's read some of this article, though.
Look, I got to get to a super chat first, and then I want to make a couple points.
Go for it.
If you will. Super chat from Earl Carr, another $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Earl. I've got to get a Cougar roar on the soundboard. Prime would have also been good. Speaking about Amazon Prime, maybe even YouTube TV. Thoughts? Yeah, not bad. Yeah,
Prime
YouTube
maybe...
TV. Well, it is YouTube TV if it's going on TNT.
Somewhat. Yeah. Because YouTube TV does carry TNT.
It's in the basic package with YouTube TV.
Yes.
Then look at this. Rock Chalk
Hey.
Jayhawk Vox Condaro with the $100 super chat.
Thank you, Vox.
$99.99. I got to pull the
Feeling good
soundboard
after
up
that
and let
win.
that man cook.
Let the man cook.
Let that man cook. If I can push the button. If the board will fire.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
Thank you so much, Vox Quindaro. Merry Christmas to you as well. And happy Thanksgiving. That is much appreciated, sir. Helps us keep the lights on here. And it'll go towards the whiskey fund for all these shots I have to take on Sundays and Mondays now. So
My goodness.
much appreciated, sir. Can't thank you enough for that. You're awesome. I'll give you another Jayhawk squawk for them Jayhawks. Oh, it's all because I have the Kansas hat on. So, okay.
Wow,
Good
Mo.
deal.
Hey,
I'll have
there
to
you
remember
go.
to wear the Kansas hat on more shows. The only difference is I don't wear it on Big Ten Mafia show. I have to wear a Big Ten hat.
Vox is going to
And we'll
be
see.
happy.
I've got a
though. I mean,
Minnesota hat, by the way. I see. Oh yeah, yeah. This Kansas has come a long way. I mean, we all picked them to kind of win the Big Ten or Big 12, but they've. I mean, since that Iowa State game, they've actually shown up. I mean, BYU's got a tough defense, and they were able to get the ball moving on them.
Yeah, they're scary. They are scary. They're hot. They were good all season long. They just couldn't figure it out. And then all of a sudden, it's cooking right now. And KU, I wouldn't be surprised if they gave Colorado everything. Gosh, I don't know if you get the upset this week, but it's going to be dang close. And KU might just do that and wreck the Big 12. If KU beats Colorado, it's going to wreck the Big 12. Like, seriously, like the worst case scenario is Arizona State, KU winning, and Utah upsetting Iowa State. Then you're in a freaking world of hurt.
Well, I hate to do this to you, but I don't think Iowa State has anything to worry about.
Hey,
Rock and Rant, who is a contributor, he is my co-host on the Moen After Dark show on Sunday, says, has anyone seen Jim Phillips? Is he okay? Does he know where he is? Maybe he can blink once if he has a pulse. Does he know he has a job? You haven't. The only person we've really seen out here is Greg Sankey. Greg Sankey and his SEC media partners are squawking the loudest. Meanwhile, Jim Phillips, nowhere to be found. Who is advocating for getting 2 ACC teams in? Not Jim Phillips.
Well, they didn't get one last year, and that team was undefeated.
yeah, that's right.
So
This
he
Warner deal
should
with
be
the
on
Big
guard
12,
about it.
Yeah, it's definitely giving Jim Phillips a tummy aches, 100%. Really, this is like heartburn, tummy ache central for Jim Phillips. It's not good over there. I hope that he's resting up and everything because the ACC guys, the ACC is really in trouble. When you boil it down, every little area around their whole sphere, they're getting attacked, and your mark is just punching the right side of that little sphere hole right there. With this TNT deal, they're going to get it done. The ACC is going to have so much pressure. They're going to erode, or they're going to, reduce down to 10 teams, like this new theory is, and everything. What's going to happen before next February? And like the ACC is completely toast. Seriously, this TNT thing might have been the last straw for the ACC.
ACC's
All right.
biggest issue is Pickens County, Leon County.
Pickens
All right,
County,
we're gonna have to get to this article, guys.
TNT,
We got-
your mark, body slam over Jim Phillips, baby.
Illini Ted, also a member for 8 months. Thank you, Illini Ted. Illini sneaking in the top 25 to add a shot for Moen. Yes. My doctor will have a great liver function test, I am sure. So we will enjoy that. All right. I want to thank Earl Carr, Rock and Rant, Illini Ted, and very much Vox Quindaro for all your generosity. Much appreciated. Helps us keep the lights on here. Helps me fill that whiskey cup. Much appreciated again. Thank you, thank you, thank you all. I have to get to this article because they keep running ads on it and it is slowing down my computer. The amount of damn ads from Front Office Sports. Come on, guys. Enough with the ads. All right. Let me get to this article and read it. so I can get this off the screen. And bear with me. The landmark settlement between Warner Brothers Discovery and the NBA over the league's new media rights package has yielded a college sports development, the Big 12 on TNT. As part of the settlement, ESPN will sublicense 13 football games and 15 men's basketball games per year to Warner Brothers Discovery. Front Office Sports confirmed beginning in 2025, the deal will span the lifetime of the Big 12's 6-year, $2.28 billion package with ESPN and Fox. Warner Brothers Discovery and the NBA have been embroiled in a dispute for months, ever since the NBA announced its new 11-year, $77 billion deal with ESPN, NBC, and Amazon. The announcement seemed to mark the end of a four-decade relationship between the NBA and TNT, but Warner Brothers Discovery sued the league, alleging it had matched Amazon's offer and that the NBA had breached their contract by agreeing to the Amazon deal. The settlement, which was first reported by the Wall Street Journal and confirmed by Front Office Sports on Saturday, allows TNT inside the NBA to live on. Complete edit. Let's get to the good part. The move will provide the Big 12 even more reach. All of the games previously would have been streaming only, aired on ESPN Plus, but will now be aired on WBD's linear platforms of TNT and or TBS, a source confirmed. However, ESPN and Fox are still considered the league's main broadcast partners. They also left something out in here. Those games will also be cast on Max. So if you have the Max streaming service from Warner Brothers Discovery, those will be streaming live as they air, as well as TNT and TBS. So that's an even less expensive alternative than getting a full cable or YouTube TV deal. The settlement has given the network an opportunity to expand that portfolio with Power Conference regular season football and arguably the top-ranked basketball conference in the country. For more than a decade, the network's only major college sports property was a portion of Men's March Madness, but in May, the network did a sublicensing deal with ESPN for college football playoff games. TNT will broadcast 2 first-round games of the expanded playoff beginning this year, and it will add 2 quarterfinals starting in 2026. TNT also signed a deal to broadcast Mountain West football games, as well as a slice of the Big East basketball starting in 2025 as part of the league's new media package with Fox and NBC. The network has the rights to early season men's basketball tournament, like the Players Era Festival as well. Now TNT and its parents, Warner Brothers Discovery, have sublicensed their way into some of the biggest college football and basketball rights in the NCAA. All right.
Oh yeah, baby.
Let me also, you have to remember Big 12 a couple of months ago, they also have a licensing deal with CBS to pick up, I want to say 14 games, basketball games. I can't remember the number right off the top of my head. So yes, they now have the TNT deal, and they've got the CBS deal.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Big 12 has found a home. Big 12 has found a home. It's TNT. Look at that. Look at the fireball. Look at that. Look at the Utes and TNT together. And look at the Jayhawks. Look at the Jayhawks there. TNT. TNT and the Jayhawks, if you're going to replace the NBA coverage with anything, it's going to be KU basketball. Look at that. TNT and KU. I love it. It's a game changer. It's bigger than you think. It is the development of a long-term relationship, and it is the straw that breaks the camel's back for the ACC. This is just one more dent in the ACC armor, in their little realm, in their circle, and Yormark's punched through it, and it's hemorrhaging. It's hemorrhaging big time. So this is the day the Big 12 has overtaken the ACC.
Okay, now let me stop and slow you down, you. This is not a business relationship between the Big 12 and TNT.
Oh, yes, it is.
It's a business relationship. There's no money being exchanged. They have no selection of games. This is basically ESPN saying we will give you 13 of our college football games from the ESPN Plus platform. We will give you 15 of our basketball games from that same platform. So TNT is not actually involved with the Big 12. Yes, they're going to be carrying their Big 12 brands. Yes, it's great for exposure, even if they're not the best games of the week. Yes, that is all important. And this might be a chance for TNT to see how they like college football. Unfortunately, Daniel mentioned this before the show, Mountain West ratings have not been great on TNT. I am a little concerned that the games that would be selected for the Big 12 on TNT are probably not going to be the marquee matchups. You might get, I don't want to disparage any teams, but you might get a bad team versus a bad team that week.
I've got a question. Do you date before you marry?
It depends on how
Should you date before you marry?
I'd say it depends on how many drinks I have
before,
in me. But
yeah, I mean, unless you're in Vegas.
I hear what you're
normally,
saying. But
okay.
They're not actually dating. They are just
what are they doing?
They're in the same friend circle.
Yeah, are they in the friend circle? Are they hooking up, or what are they doing?
No. It's like, hey, can I use your car for the weekend? That's all this is.
No, this is full on dating. Like, this is getting into a serious relationship. The proposal's about to come. And when that proposal's made, it is going to be Big 12 TNT love fest. This is what Big 12 needed. They needed an advocate. They needed a propaganda arm outside of SEC and Fox that spews Big 10 and SEC stuff all the time. And it's going to be TNT. I want Charles Barkley to do the shows, actually.
Oh, I'd love Chuck to do it. Oh, yeah. And Shaq. And Irving Johnson.
Bring them all on. Make them watch every KU basketball game all season long. KU basketball can basically be our Ohio State on TNT. I don't care at all. Just show me the money, baby, in the future. Once the marriage actually happens and everything, KU basketball is going to get so much exposure from TNT. It's going to be the new NBA.
But again, it's what games ESPN and Fox and CBS let them have. They're not going to let them have a Kansas basketball game.
No.
There's a lot of basketball games. They're not all on ESPN.
There are, but
Houston is not going to be on TNT. It's going to end up being, no offense, it's probably going to be like a Central Florida playing
Cincinnati.
Correct. It's the conference games that go on ESPN Plus, not the big ones that are on the regular channels. They'll make room for those.
Except for March Madness. If it's a March Madness game, then you would get Kansas on TNT probably. But I don't see that ESPN, CBS, or Fox are going to allow the top basketball brand, arguably one of the top basketball brands. You put Arizona up there as well, to just air on TNT. I mean, we could go back and look. We might have to do some research. I would be surprised if there were a lot of Kansas basketball games on ESPN Plus.
I'm sure there are quite a few. Last year, K-State KU was on ESPN Plus. I mean, TNT is going to lick their chops for the basketball content and the football content. And guys, this is just such a perfect fit. But honestly, we've talked about this with Immaculate months and months ago, how the Big 12 needed a media partner that's going to propaganda Big 12 content. You need to do it. You need an advocate. The Big 2 have an advocate. The Big 12 now does. And the ACC does not. That's why the ACC, there's another issue with the ACC too, because they're basically second fiddle on ESPN. And so they're basically irrelevant out there compared to the SEC and stuff. And now this TNT deal is the dating relationship that's going to form into the marriage. It's going to be a game changer.
ESPN,
I really do see it that way.
ESPN Plus, their very first game that they did whenever they picked up the streaming rights, the tier 3 rights for the Big 12, it was I don't think they were undefeated. I think they had one loss. It was a very highly ranked Kansas playing a very highly ranked WVU. The game was at Lawrence, and the reason why is so they can get subs. That was it. That was the main reason why that game, right out of the chute, they called it Big 12 now. They wanted subs. Plain and simple. ESPN, Disney, they're in the market to make money.
Yeah, I think it's important that you realize that this, I understand they're airing it, but they do not have a working relationship directly with the Big 12 yet. Yeah, but you're right. In 6 years, maybe. But let me ask you both a question. Now that we know this, how does this impact your thoughts on UConn, a basketball brand, joining the Big 12? Or Gonzaga, a basketball brand, maybe jumping ship already and joining the Big 12? Because it has to be asked. I mean, we're promoting that Big 12 basketball on TNT is going to be something. In order to get the best basketball games possible, you're going to need more great basketball schools.
The problem that you have is UConn is anchored by a football program that's, let's get right down to it, not good. And people aren't tuning in to UConn football. Sorry, Jim Mora, it's just not happening.
Does UConn even have a football team this season?
They do. They do.
Jim Mora's getting a paycheck.
Well,
that's about
let's
it.
keep in mind that their boosters have claimed that they will build an on-campus stadium. Obviously, your Mark is very keen on UConn for several reasons. I just think if you're going to put all this pressure on these 15 basketball games, if ESPN has Kansas playing one night, UConn's playing the same night, Arizona's playing in the same time slot, if you want to get these big brands on TNT, you're going to have more big brands.
TNT, that game will not go to TNT.
Well, I mean, you can't broadcast 3 games at once. If Kansas, Arizona, and UConn are all playing in the same time slot, one of those games would have to go to TNT.
ESPN, ESPN2, Fox Sports 1.
Okay, so you can add a fourth. I mean, Texas Tech is good in basketball. BYU is good in basketball. We know BYU. They've been spending money like crazy. So, I mean, there's an ability to get a quality basketball team on TNT. The problem is you need to add enough quality basketball teams where that's a possibility.
You don't add basketball teams until the marriage can be commenced in 5 years, 6 years. Because what's the point now? You're just eroding your pay because you're not getting paid more. This is a sub-license deal, like you mentioned before. It's not your own agreement unless they want to pony up and actually make a new deal with the Big 12. If you add UConn, that's a different story. But until that happens, then in 5-6 years, in 2030, that's when you consider adding UConn.
I will say this much: it's good that more games are on TV than on streaming, and it's fine. I don't think it's going to kill the ACC. Other things will do that. I don't think it's going to be nice to have other games on TV. That's about it, because CBS picks up some of them. I don't think CBS Sports is a part of that. I just think it's just broadcast CBS. So I think that it is, let's wait until a couple years down the road, and we'll find out how all this is going to work. It might work great. It might not be good at all.
It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic. See it in the mind's eye right now. It's a beautiful marriage, kind of like Louisville to the Big 12 here soon. Over the next year or two, when the Cardinal come over, it's going to be a perfect fit. This is a perfect fit too. This is going to be the propaganda arm of the Big 12, and it's a big deal. I'm telling you guys, it really is.
Becky Go Huskies, a contributor and a member, jumping in here. Big 12 fans need to watch those games on TNT TBS. Even if it's a team you don't like, even if it's a terrible game, you got to watch it. I mean, if it's UCF versus Cincinnati, you're going to have to sit through it, guys. I'm sorry.
It's DVR. Give it a view.
And I'm old enough to remember when Cincinnati was good in basketball.
Yeah, Huggy was there.
Huggy Bear. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get to some comments here real quick. Your Mark in back alley doing deals. But again, this is not a deal between TNT and the Big 12. This is a deal between TNT and ESPN. They are
Big 12 probably
sub-licensing.
now. Big 12 probably had to agree to it, but I don't see a reason why they would say no.
The most I could see the Big 12 doing is providing promotional material for TNT.
Exactly.
If they know a week in advance, they can do TNT Saturday night, promote the teams, et cetera, et cetera. And the Big 12 can actually provide them that. Vox Quindaro says Wild Ute knows what time it is. Sam Kim, good to see you, Sam. Whittingham needs to retire. This year's performance is disgraceful.
Sam. Oh, that hurts. Whittingham is not going anywhere, especially after this disaster of a season. He'll be back next year, and the Utes are going to be spending big in the portal. And I anticipate a good football team next year for the Utes.
Okay.
As a booster, I'm expecting it.
When you've got a coach that's been there that long and has that big of a legacy, one bad year, he's going to be there as long as Whit wants to show up there to Salt Lake City, they're going to keep him employed.
You need to get a soundboard, or tell me you want a whip sound.
I'm done. I'm done. Take them away from me, okay? I'm done.
Keep chopping. Phillips versus Yormark boxing match on TNT after 30,000 people watch Cincy versus Houston. Well, the good news is if it's on TNT, you'll actually be able to watch the boxing match, unlike some providers. And honestly, I think Phillips versus Yormark would probably be a better boxing match.
Mm-hmm.
Becky Go Husky says, evening, guys. Storm just started here. Stay safe. If anybody is in the Pacific Northwest, a bomb cyclone is hitting. Supposed to be very, very strong winds. So stay safe, Becky, please. I need you to keep my sanity with me on Mondays. Sam Kim says, G5, ACC, and Big 12 teams need a Jesus moment and huddle. What they can come up with, I'm not sure. So it seems like Sam Kim is suggesting that they need a détente between the Big 12, ACC, and G5.
I wouldn't say as much to G5, but the ACC and Big 12, most likely. Because the thing is, between the Big 10, SEC, they're just going to get scraps. They're going to get third, fourth place money, and that's just how the world's going to work. Big 12 ACC, they're tied for third or fourth place. It just depends on what you count for whatever money. And that's half what the SEC and Big 10 are making. It's just the reality of the sports landscape.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the Big 12 nor the ACC necessarily wants just to do a bunch of deals with the G6. I mean, that's going to erode your own league too, just like the SEC said with Snaky Sankey's comments about joining up with the ACC and the Big 12 that he made. So you don't want to dilute or erode yourself. So that's not a good play for the Big 12 to do. The Big 12, the best play is just to take out the ACC. Eat the ACC. Take Louisville. Take Pitt. Take the rivalries. Get the best product you can. Kick the rest of the curb and be the third power conference.
I don't think the Big 12 will do it. I think the SEC and Big 10 can. Because the Pac-12 didn't fall apart because of the Big 12. It fell apart because of the Big 10.
It fell apart because of the Pac-12, Daniel.
Yeah, that's
bad
true,
leadership made a bad TV decision to not bring a partner onto their network. That's what caused them to fail.
But whenever USC and UCLA said we're leaving to the Big 10, it was over. And it was just waiting for the governor.
Yeah.
That's all that it was.
Yeah.
Listen here. Free pizza doctrine, people. They came to us. We're not going to tell USC and UCLA no. Free pizza doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
Vox Quindaro, I took a shot for Stormy Cyclone. When your whiskey wears a diaper, I took it out of the diaper. Crown Royal single malt. It is
Good stuff.
fantastic, Vox. If you have not had it, it is one of the smoothest Crown Royals out there.
We need a Crown Royal sponsorship.
Yeah, we do. Because I was going to say, I actually took a $20 shot this weekend of Crown Royal 18. It's aged 18 years. It was incredible. Wasn't $20 incredible, but it was incredible. So
If you want to find something really nice, see if you can find Glenlivet 18. Not 12, but 18.
Yeah.
that's Scotch. I'm not a big Scotch guy.
Scotch is
It's
great.
still pretty good. I stopped drinking about a couple of years ago, and I still say that was probably the best I ever had. So,
All right, let's get to some more comments here. Me versus Echo Chamber. Syracuse should be in. I think I've already got that one. Cuse beat
Yes.
UNLV, but Cuse also has Kyle McCord. Sam Kim says Longhorns can win it all or not even make it to the show.
exactly.
Fair enough.
Absolutely. That's a big game. Texas A&M's been licking their chops for this
Yeah.
game.
Renewed rivalry, and it's at Texas A&M. So
That's going to be so
we'll
good.
see if they can show up. No bullshit. It will come down to either the 5th SEC team or the 4th Big Ten team
Exactly.
or a 2-loss Notre Dame.
They're in.
R. Webb says, wow, dude, I think Fox has actually treated the Big 12 okay, especially with the 3:30 p.m. Saturday slot and some big noon kickoffs. That said, getting off ESPN Plus to TNT is huge. Yeah, I think I had a package at one time that was like Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, so I never used ESPN Plus. But I
think
had
that the
part of the package.
exposure, Fox exposure, they love Big 12 right now because of Prime. And if you notice, all Big Noon games are Colorado games. And when you watch Big Noon, when it's featuring Big 12, it's all about Colorado and all about Prime. It makes sense. It does. Like, that's where the ratings are. They're going to get the best bang for their buck. When Dion leaves, though, whenever that happens, Fox is not going to be so generous.
Yeah, well, there might be a residual effect. They might still be able to get a portion of the fan base to still watch Colorado. The problem is that they are watching Deion Sanders more than the Colorado Buffaloes.
Colorado moved from averaging 350K viewers per game to 4 million in 1 year because of Deion Sanders. Based on the data. Because Colorado does not have a fan base, a large fan base underneath it all. These are largely Colorado fans that have come out, though, are Prime fans or whatever you want to call them and stuff. They will not, I guarantee you, they will not stick around and watch Colorado Buffaloes after Prime leaves.
They had a After Dark game last year. I don't remember who they played, but it set the record for the highest viewership for an After Dark game.
Ryan Willie in the chat says, I prefer Jack. When I was a young man, I would do that too. We would gargle Jack Daniels. As I got older, yeah, you had to. You would do shot because people would throw shots over their shoulders, so you had to gargle it to make sure that they were actually taking shots. So,
oh wow,
yeah. When I was in college, we would gargle Jack Daniels because we were idiots, I suppose. But Jack Daniels is a little hard for someone my age, Ryan. I used to enjoy it in my youth, but I can't take the Jack Daniels hangovers and all it entails. But I appreciate the super chat. Much obliged. And on Wisconsin. Sam Kim says ESPN will bestow what game TNT shows from the Big 12. It's nothing major.
Exactly.
Well, it could be something major. It depends on what the other inventory looks like for the night. If they want something from Big 10, SEC, or whatever they have in that basketball inventory, they're going to get some good games on TNT. It's not going to be all garbage games, and they're going to feature those games because they have nothing else. TNT has nothing else. TNT lost the NBA. So this is really it.
CW has nothing else. And do you think they get a pick of what ACC games they get to show? No.
Well, they do. They get the Oregon State and Washington State games.
Well,
for the next
those
2
I'm
years.
talking about the ACC games.
Yeah. Greg from College Football Peek around the corner, the Godfather. Good to see you, Greg. He says Boise State does have a win over ranked UNLV. UNLV has a win over Kansas. Kansas just defeated BYU and Provo. While I do believe BYU or Colorado running the table gets them the number 4 seed, it's close versus Boise State. How does Kevin Bacon figure into that equation, Greg? Just saying, that sounds an awful lot like 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon there.
We're all making the assumption that Boise State's going to win their championship game versus UNLV in that second round. Like, they still got to win out, and UNLV's a ranked team too. So,
and UNLV has held Genty to a season low, so they're going to have to figure out something. They can't get Genty going.
There's a website called myteamisbetterthanyourteam.com that you could type in. You could type in 2 teams that have losses on it, and it will show how that team is better than the other one.
Yes, through transitive properties. We don't. We're not going to address transitive properties here. We already grabbed that one. UNCW versus Kansas on ESPN Plus now.
That should be on ESPN Plus too.
Yeah, I don't even know who UNCW is.
Wilmington.
Okay. University of North Carolina at Wilmington. Okay.
Yes.
Conundrum chimes in here. He says 1 football game per week. No big deal. Sorry.
Something.
It's better than being that 1 football game on ESPN Plus. You're not making more money, but you are getting a better chance at exposure.
Yes.
But Big 12 fans, you guys have to tune into those games. And I know they might not be games you want to watch, but you're going to have to at least tune to them to get that ratings points to kick up to get TNT to notice you. Steve Ohio, Florida says Cincinnati sucks in basketball.
So does Utah.
I remember Cincinnati used to be really good. That was a long time ago. Vox Quindaro, Kansas, UConn, Zags, University of Houston, Baylor. I would add BYU onto the list. They've spent a lot of money in basketball this offseason. Iowa State usually puts a solid squad together. Texas Tech puts a solid squad together. Lots of great basketball in the Big 12.
West Virginia did until their coach got a DUI.
Well, let's come on. Hugs had a couple more instances before that probably.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying that he was an angel. He got caught twice. So,
yeah. Justin R. reminding you, UConn is 7-3 in football this season, which is better than half the current teams in the Big 12.
Hold on. I got to pull up UConn's schedule. Hold on.
Are they in the American, UConn?
No, they're independent.
Independent football.
Independent.
Basketball, they're Big East. Which is another issue because TNT does have a deal with the Big East for basketball. So maybe that either entices Yormark to steal UConn, or maybe TNT with this new arrangement can kind of say, don't take UConn. Keep your hands off.
Okay, this is Charmin Soft.
What do you got?
Wow. They beat UAB 2 weeks ago. They're on a bye. Georgia State beat Rice. They lost to Wake Forest, and that takes a lot to lose to a Wake Forest team. Beat Temple, beat Buffalo, beat Florida Atlantic, lost to Duke, and played Merrimack as their FCS school. So we're not talking murderer's row there. It's pillowy soft.
By the way, you ever notice how obsessed with pooping those Sherman Bears are? Like, that's the only thing that goes on in that house. Like, they got that commercial on now where, like, the kid comes home from school and she's immediately checking the kid's butt. Like, come on, Mom, chill out. Talk about helicopter parenting. Sebastian Matson says, can't be a conference network when you only air 28 games total a year. Conference networks air content 24/7.
Exactly.
I will say this, though, in 6 years, they could go in with TNT to produce a Big 12 network.
Mm-hmm.
That is something the
dating
Big 12 has
relationship.
needed. But that's 6
Nobody
years
else is
away.
doing it. It's okay. Look at the playing field. ESPN is not changing its ways. It's going to be all SEC for the next 25 years until the SEC gets plucked up by a Super League. The Big Ten and Fox are in the bed 25 years until they get plucked up by a Super League, right? So really, there's no choice of those two places. CBS, you tried to make that work, it won't work, so you got to go to the next place, and that's TNT. It's a great investment right there. It's a dating relationship. It's going to work great.
They've already got Big 12 has a relationship with CBS. They're going to show, I think, 14 basketball games, something like that, throughout the season.
Football too. We need both. We need everything.
Probably with the next deal.
ACC is a dinosaur. Best teams fail.
They're working on trying to get out.
All that has to happen is Notre Dame has to leave. Conundrum says just another Your Mark hype job.
I don't think so. Not this one.
Yeah, Your Mark has nothing to do with this, guys. This is a settlement between ESPN and Warner Brothers. There is no working relationship, guys.
All thing Your Mark, they probably went to Your Mark and said, "This is what we're doing." He probably did say, "Yeah, go ahead and do it," because they probably did send it past Your Mark, but he probably couldn't say no.
Here's a great comment. Would UConn beat Big 12 crap teams like Utah? And that's from Mr. Monkey Says, who is a
Mr.
fan
Monkey.
of
KU. Look, I've been giving KU kudos all night, and you're going to dig on the Utes like this? Come on, Mr. Monkey.
Box Quindaro says, wow, you just channeling Your Mark.
That's right. Got him on the hotline.
Got another super chat here from the evil badger, Ryan Willie. Let me get his evil laugh here. Marquette and Cincinnati played in the same conference in the 80s. I remember that. As a Badger fan, I hate Marquette. No Super League U.
That was the Metro Conference, if I remember correctly. That became Conference USA afterwards.
Maybe. That might have been a little bit before my time of keeping up with basketball. So, Ryan Willie said, I'm in my 50s. He's still drinking Jack. God bless him. My stomach and my intestines can't handle Jack Daniels. So, if that game gets 1 to 2 million people, it's a good thing. Yes.
Which game is that?
Well, I think she's talking about whatever game is aired on TNT.
Oh, on TNT, yeah, that's probably not realistic. You're looking at probably about 400K to 800K for games for football until it builds. That'd be awesome. 2 million views on TNT.
Right now, they're getting like 50,000 people watching Mountain West games on TNT. I mean, they're getting nobody to watch.
I was checking out that, and it looks like it's on True TV. Those games have been playing.
I'm sorry,
not on TNT.
Okay, I'm wrong.
But I mean, it's the Turner umbrella.
It's called Turner Sports now. It's no longer True TV. Ryan Willie corrects you. It was a great Midwestern conference.
Sorry. Okay.
Thanks for letting us know, Ryan. Super chat is appreciated, sir. As is the membership. Thank you so much. On Wisconsin. Just not with Phil Longo as offensive coordinator.
Longo is no long with the Badgers.
Stormy Cyclone says, I'll tune into TNT. I don't have ESPN Plus.
I don't have ESPN Plus, too. I don't know anybody that does. Daniel, do you?
I had it at
Daniel's
one time.
got it.
Never used it.
I've got the Disney bundle with Hulu and ESPN Plus came with it. So
that's the same. I had it and I never used it.
It's
I don't even
really
know.
like a very
So it
poor
was like
isn't
experience.
it was like
Can you
$15.
install it on a smart TV, or is it just
Yes, yeah.
okay?
Yeah. It was like $15 for the Disney Hulu. To add ESPN was like another $2. So might as well just add it up.
Yeah, I got a deal from my phone carrier, T-Maybe, and it was like $9.99 for all three. So UConn basketball to the Big Ten. Heard it here first.
Hey,
Becky,
whoa.
come on now. That's
Throwing
not
it
funny.
down. Moan. Yeah,
Not
the
funny.
Huskies, Big Ten.
They
equal
are an
that.
AAU school.
That's right.
ESPN Plus is still better than live Netflix.
Yeah. You mean the buffering channel right there? The buffer.
Replica says, at Becky, I've always thought UConn basketball would be a great fit in the Big if the Big decided they wanted them. UConn would take pennies on the dollar to get in as well. Yeah, UConn better be paying us money to get in. Stormy Cyclone says, just more proof of bear shits in the woods. Yes.
Sure.
How they're getting Charmin in the woods, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of Charmin stores carrying Charmin out in the middle of the woods, but just kind of concerns me that those bears are so preoccupied with defecation.
Have you
If
ever
you wanna
felt how
see-
soft it is, though? Charmin
If you
really
want to
is
see
soft.
something funny, go to OSU banned bear poop.
Yes, I saw it where they poop on
Just-
Michigan.
Yes. Just
Yeah.
that is hilarious. It was funny. I saw it and I was just rolling laughing.
Yeah, there's a great video. Look it up on YouTube. Charmin Bears. It's like an animated video where the kid comes in and says, Dad, I
Yeah.
want to go to college and be an artist. And he's like, no, son, we wipe our butt in this house. It's what we do.
Yeah.
I don't care what Jose's doing. We wipe ass. It's what we do. Wild U, it is cyclical. Reminder, NASCAR mainstream popularity only lasted about 10 years.
NASCAR just signed a $7 billion deal. What was it? They've got Fox, Amazon, NBC, and I can't remember who else is a part of that deal. But they just signed a $7 billion, I want to say 8-year deal, something like that. So they got big paid.
Like, if it's not TNT, then who is it? It cannot be ESPN. It cannot be Fox. They've already picked their ponies. So you really need to go figure out a different type of network or streamer to go with. Do you, as the Big 12 conference, want to go with Amazon? Remember, the Pac-12 was considering that. That would have been suicide if we would have gone at that time with Amazon. So I think TNT and Turner is really the best fit for exposure to be like the primary conference arm for distribution. Definitely not Netflix. No Netflix.
Not after this weekend.
No Amazon, right? Like, it's really like there's not that many options. Like, Big 12 is not going to start its own network. That's kind of a failed model anyway. Now it's working for Big 10, but the ACC is going to blow up. Didn't work for the Pac-12, and so TNT really is the play. It's really the only play.
Here's the thing, though. You can't be second in a race. The Pac-12 network, one, they didn't have a partner. Two, they got started way too late. The Big Ten is now basically ingratiated itself to every cable provider, even the ones in California now. So it's on most basic cable packages. It's on basic YouTube TV. It's going to be hard for, I think ACC Network and SEC Network are as well. But it's going to be hard for a new network to break through just because I think it's so late in the race. But yeah, they're going to have to do a deal with somebody who's got cartage on a basic cable. Maybe you turn Turner Sports into the Big 12 network. I mean, if you don't really have anything great to show there, just make Turner Sports a new Big 12 conference network. Becky Go Husky says, never been camping here, Moan. Well, I've been out in the woods plenty, and I keep a roll of toilet paper in my tackle box. But again, I'm not. It's not the entirety of my life is not wiping ass. So, no to Utah in the Big, says Ryan Willie.
What? We haven't even talked about Utah to the Big Ten. Ryan, you're crushing me over here. The shots.
He's an evil badger. I like it.
Oh
I like
man,
it.
like
Doing it.
I knew that already, but it hurts. Okay, like hey, Utah's going to grow in the Big 12, not the Big 10.
Let's see if I've got that special victims unit soundbite on here. There we go. That was a crime. Dun, dun. Nate Simons is in the house. Good to see you, Nate. He drops a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Nate. That is much appreciated. I will give you a legitness.
That was legitness. Yeah, it was. Huh?
And I'll go ahead and give you a drunk Joe, too.
I couldn't care less about the team struggling.
Much appreciated, Nate. I will also give you a drink of whiskey because you told me to. Discovery Warner gets to test drive the Big 12 before Yarmark bifurcates football and basketball. We didn't touch upon that yet. Media rights in 2031. TNT could be a new media partner in the near future. Also opens up UConn to Big 12 again, in my opinion.
Okay, real talk here, and this is so nails. You've nailed it, Nate. 100% agree with everything you're saying here. This UConn discussion, brought it up again. Look, I've been staunch against UConn to the Big 12. Mo knows that. Daniel knows that. Everybody that listens to this channel, like it's been a tough sell. But like now that you have this relationship, this dating relationship with TNT, they will want UConn basketball. 100%. They want basketball content. They had the NBA. They're going to focus on basketball content. They want the KUs. They want the UConns. That's going to be a huge pressure driver going into next year. And year after, to add UConn, it's not just private equity. It's going to be TNT now. More things are pointing that way where it's making more and more sense. And as a football-focused guy, that hurts, but I do understand it too. So opening my eye up a little bit and my mind up to UConn as a candidate. In fact, I think the first Wild Ute University video is going to be a reevaluation of UConn, considering these two factors after the season ends for an expansion candidate.
UConn did nothing whenever they were in the Big East. They were basically thrown on to the Big East football because they needed somebody that was there. And they already were in the Big East for basketball. We're not talking people clamoring to watch UConn football. Their basketball program, men's and women's, are probably the most elite programs that you have in the nation. But if you have to be stuck with that football program, that's going to be ugly.
The Utes could use a win right now. I'll be honest, Daniel. So playing UConn this year would have been a nice gift.
Listen,
maybe that's just fodder.
I'm going to say this. Yes, UConn football is not great now, but neither was Indiana. So if you get into a major conference, you get boosters to put some money in there, you can improve football. It can happen. Thank you so much for that super chat, Nate. It is much appreciated, sir. Let's give you another sound effect because, we'll do this one. We haven't done this one in a while.
They've been sucking you, and you're sick of it. I get it.
And that rolls right into our next super chat where Becky Go Huskies, a contributor and a donator, says, Oregon still sucks. Go Huskies. I think that's a message we can all get behind.
She's bad-mouthing Puddles.
The more you know.
The more you know.
And yes, Becky, I know that's not his official name, but everybody calls him Puddles. She corrected
F that
me on
duck.
his name.
F
Yeah.
that duck. I'm going to Indianapolis for that. Ohio State's going to win out. Going to get their rematch in Indianapolis. I'm going to Lucas Oil Stadium. And that's all I'm going to say is F that duck for about 3.5 hours. I got ESPN Plus. All of our ACC games versus the horrible teams are on ESPN Plus. The good thing about ESPN Plus is that UCF produces most of their game and the quality is good. Some schools suck at it.
Yes.
Good call.
A lot of them will have I was watching the Marshall Coastal Carolina game, and it was their radio announcers that was superimposed over the video feed. Marshall's radio announcers, I should say. So, but then again, it's Sunbelt football at Huntington, West Virginia. So it's not huge, but I mean, that's who they had for their announcers. It works, though.
I feel for you, Justin. Utes been on ESPN Plus a couple times this year now. Found ways to watch those games and everything, but I've cringed every time it goes to commercial and says, "Oh, commercial break airing, wait for 5 minutes," or whatever. I can't believe the crap that we have to go through to watch these ESPN Plus games. If you're USF and you have to deal with that all the time, seriously, sorry. It totally sucks. You deserve better than that. ESPN's the biggest garbage pile. Kick out of here forever. Seriously, I can't wait till the games move to TNT. ESPN Plus needs to go. No one should sub to it. Let it burn.
Tell us how you really feel there, Nate. Well,
Illini Ted says Daniel Gygax wasn't wrong that the Metro became Conference USA. They joined with the Great Midwest schools to form the new league. So you were partially right.
I was partially right. I was trying to remember how it all fit together. I knew it was they all eventually became Conference USA. I just couldn't. My brain is full of a lot of stuff. So.
Amazon is broadcasting Seattle Storm games here in Washington now, FYI.
They've had the WNBA contract for, I think this is their first year. I know Apple has MLS.
Scavin yes says no to Wisconsin on Saturday.
Wisconsin versus Nebraska, right?
Nebraska. And one of them has to get bowl eligible in this game.
And Wisconsin does not have an offensive coordinator at the moment. And it doesn't really matter who they plug, right?
And Nebraska just picked up Dana Holgerson as their offensive coordinator.
Arnengad says no to Wisconsin drivers in Illinois. Fair enough. FYI, guys, Oregon's duck mascot does not have a name. Disney will not allow it. Yes, it's just called the duck.
But everybody still calls it Puddles.
Ryan Willie said Utah versus Wisconsin in 2028.
Ooh, I hope it still happens. I will be in Madison for that game if it happens.
Well, hopefully whoever's broadcasting the game figures out how to mic the damn crowd. Becky Go Huskies says Utah pulled a Pac-12 2.0. Went from good to bad when they joined the Pac.
Wait, so Utah pulled a Pac-12 2.0, went from good to bad when they joined the Pac?
I think she means the Big 12.
No. The first year Utah was in the Pac-12, what was their record?
Yeah, they had a good season, right?
Yeah, and this year, their first year in the Big 12 is not good.
It's a ramp-up period. So give the Utes a couple years to ramp up for this Big 12 competition, and they'll be back. I like it.
Becky Go Husky says we get to say F that duck for 2 weeks, Mo. There you go. No, we've got business up north, or they've got to come down to us, but that's where our business is. Keep Chopping says major news on the Ohio State Center. Yes, unfortunately, I found out before the show, got a phone call. Seth McLaughlin tore his ACL, Achilles tendon, in practice today. He was definitely in the competition to be the best center in the country. I will say this, Alabama fans ran that man out of town because of his snapping. Came to Columbus, never had a bad snap. Was a consummate player, team player. Hopefully Ohio State can patch that hole. I mean, we've had to patch on the offensive line so far this year. Unfortunately, it worked out. We'll have to see who the backup is, because that defensive tackle for Indiana, he can be a beast. Same with Michigan. So hopefully they get somebody big in there to patch up that hole.
The most important person that you have on an offense is not the quarterback; it's your center.
Illini Ted says if they put that big duck in the Indianapolis water and the Big 12 champion and the big championship, odds that drunk Moan will take him out. Sober Moan will take him out. I don't need to be drunk. I'm tackling
Someone's
that
going to
damn
take it out.
inflatable.
If they try that
it's
thing
gonna
again,
happen.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's gonna happen. I would full on like suicide plancha onto that duck from a bridge.
How tall was the duck again? Was it like 80 feet?
no,
I think it was like 35.
something
I
like
thought it was
that.
like massive, right?
No, it was like 20, 25, 30 feet, something like it was pretty good size.
You got to ride that duck, Moan.
I'm going to take that duck. I'm going to take it. I'm going to jump on there with a lasso. Bring that duck to its knees. Jeremiah Smith and Amika Ibuka versus D'Angelo Pons this week is appointment television. Yeah, we'll see. Unfortunately, that center losing Seth McLaughlin, that is a big loss for the Buckeyes. But Stormy Cyclone says that inflatable duck still lives till OSU puts a fork in it.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be Wisconsin.
Wisconsin over Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
Whiskey at Bug Eaters. Come on, me. Wow. Man, that was real harsh.
The Bug Eaters.
Nate Simons became a YouTube member. Thank you so much, Nate. Welcome to the Mafia family. I'll give you a little applause. We're talking about milk.
I am the milkman. My milk is delicious.
We'll be at the game, Utah, Iowa State this Saturday, and I'm looking forward to apologizing to my seatmates next to me and stuff for the behavior of the BYU game. So if you sat next to me, I apologize to you too.
You didn't throw that water bottle, did you?
I did not do that.
Okay.
No, I did not do anything illegal.
Okay.
But I'm ashamed of some of my actions.
Fickle might throw that game so he can get his payout and take another job. And yeah, I don't think Luke Fickle is going to take that payout. I don't think he was happy about firing Longo, but it is what it is. Stormy Cyclone says it could be Indiana, though. You're right, but I don't think there's any river near Bloomington, so they'd have to tie that inflatable duck down on the ground, and they've got lots of guns in Indiana, so somebody might be climbing up in a tree and picking that duck off. It'll be duck season.
Wabbit season.
Wabbit season.
Wabbit.
Red Bull and Runza, anyone? No. Jackson Johnson's in the house. What's up, CFB Mafia Nation? Good to see you, Jackson. We got about another 10 to 15 minutes here, guys. If you have anything you want to put up there, obviously we're trying to defer to members' comments as much as possible, but we'll take a quick look at what's going down in the Big 12 next week, and we'll get some previews in there. We'll talk a little bit about that. Well, Utah will become the new Oklahoma in the Big 12. Just give it a year or two.
Let him cook, Moan. Let him cook 10 times in a row. Yeah.
Oh, hell no.
Thank you, Nate.
I think you might not want to be
one.
the new. I think you might not want to be the new Oklahoma in the Big 12. I mean,
well,
Why
they're
not?
5 and Oklahoma's 5-5. I mean, Utah is. Hold on.
Hey, we don't need to talk about Utah's record. We don't need to do this.
Hold on. I think
we'll
it,
4-6. They're 4-6.
okay, that's what I thought. They're Oklahoma's 1-5 in the SEC.
But
Bad year
like
for
the
Brent
Big
Venables.
12 Oklahoma. We're talking about Big 12 Oklahoma that dominate year in, year
Yeah,
out.
but not the same.
we'll give a little cheer for that as well, Nate. Just playing with you. I don't want to say all hell no to your comment. Stormy Cyclone is in the house. Says you guys are doing a great job tonight. Not so serious tonight. Well, listen, I'm drinking, and I may have taken a little something before the show. Was not my plan to host tonight, but like I said, Nate was under the weather. Ryan Willie says Fickle was forced to fire Longo. Yes, his comments yesterday more or less revealed that. FF18 Buff says, happy 100th birthday to Peggy Copham, Colorado superfan. Prime had her at today's presser. Congratulations to Peggy.
They had her at the game on Saturday, too.
No, we're talking about puddles there still.
Yes, we are.
Kurt Signetti said Ohio State sucks. You're right. He said Michigan sucks, Ohio State sucks, and Purdue definitely sucks. So far, he is 1-0 in that prediction. He did beat Michigan, which gives me cause for concern. Illini Ted says, isn't Utah more like the Texas of the Big 12? Talk a bunch of stuff, but actually do nothing. Man, Utah Utes are just getting crapped on tonight.
Man, I'll tell you what, just the shade that's coming this way and everything, you all wait. You all wait till next year. In the offseason, you just wait. Can't wait to unveil that.
He needs some milk.
Give me some of that milk.
He needs some milk.
Oklahoma lost to Kansas their last year in the Big 12.
Yes, they did.
There you go.
Give him a Jayhawk squawk.
Yeah, we'll give him a Jayhawk squawk. I need to do a remix of that. Get a remix of that Jayhawk squawk. All right, let me go ahead and pull up the games for next week. We'll take a preview of the Big 12 games happening this weekend. Some big games on the schedule. And I will tell you what those games are as soon as I can pull it up. Ute talking about next season, it just made me think of the Cincinnati Bengals.
There's always next season.
Probably fire Zach Taylor and hire.
You have no idea what kind of NIL Utah's coming up with this offseason. That's all the chatter and stuff. The money that's coming in is going to be insane, and this team is going to get flipped.
I will say Joe Burrow has probably had his best season ever. And that defense that the Bengals have is awful.
Utah is a dope program. I think the other Big 12 teams are just trying to troll.
Big 12's good at trolling.
Ryan Willie letting us know with the action going on tonight. Miami of Ohio is up 17. NIU is at 3.
It's not the team that beat Notre Dame.
Yes, it is.
It is.
And you guys still think Notre Dame gets in with 2 losses? No chance.
Because
the Irish.
Because the name is Notre Dame. That's the reason why they would get in. No other reason.
Rockin' Rant says there's not always next season. Cyril, clearly a Jets fan. Well, listen, I mean, at least you expect disappointment. You don't draft Joe Burrow, go to a Super Bowl, and then just shit the bed because you won't pay defensive players Mike Brown.
What's the bigger dumpster fire in New Jersey right now? The Giants or Jets? That's a coin flip.
It's the Jets. No, it's the Jets because the Aaron Rodgers thing, all the money they put on him.
Yeah, but they're trying to get out of paying the one guy and bringing in Tommy Cutlets again with the Giants. I mean,
you know what? Yeah, the Utes are kind of like the Jets of college football.
Bad.
Cam Rising and Aaron Rodgers. I see a lot of linkage here.
No, the Utes were successful at one time. The last time the Jets were successful
for the 2020
was the butt fumble game.
Mark Sanchez.
Yes, the butt fumble. If Utah gets Isaac Wilson some weapons, they'll be cooking next year. He's a serious talent. Yeah, by the way, I thought he wasn't supposed to play in this week's game. Why was he out there playing? Thought he had
wasn't
mono.
Supposed to play. He did have mono, and he manned up, got it done, and threw out I thought he played pretty good. He got an 11 quarterback rating, though, guys. 11 out of 100. And if you know anything about QBR, that's about as bad as it gets. I don't know. I'm hopeful next season goes a lot better. It's been rough.
Me versus Echo Chamber says you get what you pay for since he put all their money into the offense. They haven't even paid Jamar Chase yet. They got rid of Joe Mixon, who is doing fantastic in Houston, by the way. Congratulations to Joe Mixon on escaping. This is a Mike Brown problem. You got to remember, Mike Brown was the sole owner to vote against a minimum spending on a team. He did not want a minimum he should have to spend on the team.
Yep.
If you ever want to know how they got copper wire, Mike Brown and his daughter Katie Blackburn both found the same penny, and that's how Copper Wire was formed.
They are the only NFL team that does not have a dedicated indoor practice facility.
Yes.
They have this temporary bubble that they put up for their practice facility. That college football teams have nice indoor facilities. The Bengals do not.
Does like the Cincinnati Bearcats have better facilities?
Yes.
Are you
The Bearcats
sounds like
have a
They
matter of fact, the Bengals on occasion use
Yes.
the Bearcats indoor facility.
It used to be, there's a bubble now. Now they have a bubble, but it used to be their practice field was underneath a highway overpass.
Yes.
They
Right there
practiced
near the
underneath an
bridge.
Overpass. Yep.
Right there near the bridge. What is that? 75, 71 going into the city. Yeah.
that sounds
Yeah,
real
we can,
big for mental
we can
health.
stop running down the Bengals. I'll do enough of that on my own. Giants going back to Illini legend touchdown, Tommy DeVito. There you go. Remember, they took Daniel Jones. They could have had, if Notre Dame loses and forces out an SEC team, imagine the bitching that'll happen. I think it would almost be worth it. I hate Notre Dame, but it would almost be worth it. Mike Brown, the Donald Sterling of the NFL. I won't go that far, but listen, Mike Brown's a terrible owner. He cares about his pocketbook more than he does the team. I mean, this is a man who had a stadium named after his own father and sold the naming rights.
No, he did not.
Yep.
It used to be called Paul Brown Stadium.
Paycor.
Paycor.
Yeah.
That's how much the man loves money. It named after his father, Mr. Football in Ohio, Paul Brown. We were having a discussion about this last week. The man won so many state high school championships, national high school championships, a national championship at Ohio State, AAFC championships with the Cleveland Browns, NFL championship with the Cleveland Browns. The namesake of the Cleveland Browns founded the Cincinnati Bengals. And his own son says, give me the money and take my father's name off the stadium.
He is not liked.
He is not liked.
He is not liked by anybody in Ohio.
We bring out our brown bags, and they are called Mike Brown bags.
Yeah.
Put over our heads. Tommy DeVito is just a name that should work in New York.
Oh, yeah. They do love having him. He's from New Jersey originally, and they did an ESPN thing on him last year. He was still living at his mom's house, commuting to East Rutherford.
Cincinnati Bearcats had a bubble back in the Big East days.
Yep.
Okay.
I think Cincinnati's I could see Cincinnati be really good in the Big 12. Give them like 3 or 4 or 5 years. I think that's going to be one of the brands with UCF. They just seem to have that recruiting ground there. The money will come in. I really see them being one of the better teams in the Big 12 and in a 10-year time horizon. We don't talk a lot about the Bearcats and everything, but that's the perspective.
And I'll say this. I'm a Cincinnati Reds fan, a Cincinnati Bengals fan. Cincinnati loves their sports teams.
Mm-hmm.
They show up for them. They turn out for them. They got saddled with terrible ownership on both counts. And it's unfortunate. But, I mean, I'm a Bengals fan. My grandpa was a Paul Brown guy, which meant I'm a Bengals fan. So it is what it is.
The Reds owner, what was it? I can't remember. It was last year, year before, called out all the fans saying, show up or I'm leaving type thing. Yeah.
He says it doesn't matter what team they field, the fans will show up.
Yep.
If the SEC loses a spot, expansion will happen immediately to 14 teams, and SEC and Big will get 4 AQs, not including conference champ.
What? No. So 5 spots?
Yes. Yeah.
Each?
I believe it. Becky is 100% correct. Yes.
No, that's too much. That's too greedy. Too much, Becky. No.
You
got to share the wealth a little bit. The Big 12 and the ACC, while it lasts, should get 2 each. 2 each guaranteed.
It's not a shared league. It's not like the NFL. It's not like baseball. It's not like hockey. Each conference and each school needs to look out for themselves. It's sad to say that. It's sad to say that as a Mountaineer. It's sad to say that as somebody in the Big 12. The problem is that we know that the SEC and Big 10, they look out for themselves. And they have to look out for themselves. That's not going to change. They're going to always have the most money. They're going to always have the best TV contracts. That will never change.
Do you know what's not sad?
All right. Speaking of the Big 12, let's do a rundown of this week's games coming up. The 3:00 slot on ESPN Plus. This is what TNT can look forward to. 4-6 Arizona versus 6-4 TCU. I really don't have
lay
any
that one out
thoughts
again.
there.
Lay that one again.
4-6 Arizona, 6-4 TCU.
TCU wins that game.
Yeah, I don't. TCU is favored by 12.
Yeah.
And then 3:30 p.m., the Big 12 actually gets a good time slot for ESPN. 14 BYU travels to Mountain America Stadium in Tempe, Arizona, to take on the surging Arizona State Sun Devils. Arizona State favored by 3 in this one, guys.
Which is baffling. Because they just had their letdown game with the Jayhawks. They had a very emotional game against Utah. They had their letdown game. This is we're going to get things back on the right ship. There's no way ASU is favored in that. BYU is going to just come in mad and just rip them apart.
I kind of see it a little bit different than that. I see ASU really dominating the trenches versus BYU. ASU is a super physical football team with Scadaboo. I see ASU winning this game outright, and maybe by more than one possession, maybe about 10-point win for ASU.
I have to agree with you. I don't think BYU can keep up points-wise. BYU's got a great defense, but the offense is, I don't know. Struggling. He's struggling.
Struggling.
I like Arizona State. Then at 3:30, we're talking about how partners hold the Big 12 in such high esteem. 3:30, national broadcast, Fox, from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri, Colorado, taking on the Kansas Jayhawks. By the way,
Colorado squeaks it out.
Yeah, by the way, 8-2 Colorado is only favored by 2.5 over 4-6.
Yep. And that line kind of baffles me, but Kansas look decent.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Kansas.
I'm going to take Colorado.
No, I'm taking Kansas. I think I'll watch that game too. That should be a good game. Unless Ohio State loses, then I'm not watching any game. I'm just drinking till I black out. Then at 3:30, here's another ESPN Plus matchup. 6-4 Texas Tech travels to Stillwater to take on 3-7 Oklahoma State.
That Oklahoma State team's just absolute garbage this year.
They're wrecked. Yep.
I concur. And then on ESPNU, UCF travels to West Virginia. Daniel, what do you think? Can West Virginia get bowl eligible in this game?
West Virginia will win by 2 touchdowns. I used to be, we're going to be a little bit, I'm going to be a little bit nice. No, I'm going to just poop talk the entire week to Central Florida fans.
Let me put it this way. UCF is favored on the road by 3.
Yes, I know that. Yes, I know that.
Way.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
7:00 on Fox Sports 1, live from Houston, Texas. The Baylor Bears and Dave Aranda roll in to fight the Houston Cougars.
Baylor wins big.
Spread on that game is Baylor by 8.
What's the over-under?
Over-under is 50.5.
Oh, take that. Oh, punch that over. God, you're going to
agreed.
Oh, punch that over.
I am not betting any more over-unders this year. Sorry. Been burned too many times, SEC. You still owe me $64 for that Texas Georgia game. 7:30 p.m. on Fox, another primetime network. You get to watch Iowa State take on Utah at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Utes going to be there. Iowa State favored by 7.5 points. What do you got to say about it, Ute?
Utah wins by 3 in this game. Utah is close. They're right there. Isaac Wilson's starting to get it together. Utah's going to pull one of these wins before the season's over. I wouldn't be surprised if they win this game and win at UCF and get 6-6. So I feel confident the Utes get this one done.
Here's the thing. Rocco Bet looked great. Had 2 stinker games, and maybe you'll actually start looking better.
I like Iowa State in that one.
You always like Utah's opponents, Moan.
I like Iowa State in that one. Like, I might take Utah on the spread. The spread is 7.5. Iowa State might only win by 7. So I might take Utah on the spread. Rounding out the weekend, Cincinnati goes to Kansas State. Cincinnati can get bowl eligible with a win. Kansas State coming off that loss to Arizona State where they were absolutely dominated in the first half. Boy, Kansas State is favored by 8.5, guys, but I just don't know what Kansas State's going to show up. That's a problem. But fortunately for them, I do know what Cincinnati team's going to show up, and I think Kansas State does win. 8.5 points, though, that's a little worrisome.
I think Wildcats cover.
All right, Moan, we got to wind it down.
Yep, definitely will. Go ahead. What's your one for the road?
My one for the road is TNT Big 12, baby. TNT Big 12, new network partner in the future. Get ready for it. It's going to grow the conference. It's great for the conference. A huge win. Go Utes.
All right, Daniel, what about you?
West Virginia will win this weekend against Central Florida by 2 touchdowns.
Okay. And I will say, this is not a dating, this is not a relationship thing. This isn't even friends with benefit. This is merely business between TNT and ESPN. So let's not count our chickens before they have hatched, so to say. I'm going to take it out. I want to thank everybody who donated tonight. Help us keep the lights on. Earl Carr, BYU Cougar. Vox Quindaro with the very generous Christmas gift of $99.99.
Thank you.
Rock and Rant, who re-upped his membership for 9 months. Ryan Willie with multiple super chats talking about how much he loves that Jack Daniels Black Label. Becky Go Huskies reminding us that Oregon sucks. Nate Simons dropped in here, became a member, left us a $20 super chat to talk about UConn, TNT, and the new media deal. And Stormy Cyclone, who also dropped in and said, you guys are doing a great job tonight, not so serious tonight. I appreciate all that feedback, guys. We're almost at 2 hours, so we got to get out of here so I can clip some shorts. I want to thank you. I want to thank Daniel. Tune in tomorrow night. Nate is going to have a special show on tomorrow night, so tune in for that. I don't know what time yet. Just watch the channel. Wait for the notifications. And with that, I want to say peace out. We'll see you guys later.